He's the piano man at the Savoy. It's a must-see and a must-hear place if you are ever in London. Now, after the Bills' big win over the Jets last night, we can now forget about their performance in London a few weeks ago. 7 Eyewitness News had a crew with the Bills in that city that week. Our executive producer, Shannon Ross, managed to slip away from football for a few minutes, and she dropped into one of London's most historic places. The Savoy Hotel opened its doors in 1889. It's been one of London's premier hotels now for 125 years. The first hotel in that city to have electricity, and the first with elevators. It has just reopened after a 3-year, $300 million renovation. But it is still steeped in tradition. So, what's it like to work there?
It's an absolute privilege. It's a mind-blowing place to be. It's you never know what's going to happen in this hotel. It's an amazing place to be. The atmosphere, the very walls are alive with stories and memories and anecdotes, and every night is just an adventure.
John Nickel is the resident singer and piano player in the Savoy's famous American Bar. How did he land that job?
I did an audition for an agent about 15, 16 years ago and worked for him a little bit around London, and then he landed the Savoy contract, and I've been here ever since.
This is now the oldest surviving cocktail bar in London. It opened in 1893.
And then he compiled a book called the Savoy Cocktail Book, which kind of really invented the modern cocktail and kind of set the standard, and there are 750 recipes in there. I've drunk all of them. I get through half of them a night. And in fact, the book's here actually. You can see it, the Savoy Cocktail Book. It's still in print now. That really is a kind of industry standard. And so we really are kind of in the epicenter of the cocktail mixology world, whatever you want to call it. It's a real sacred turf for cocktails.
Over the decades, the rich and famous have tipped a few at this bar. Sean Connery, Charlie Chaplin, Elizabeth Taylor, and David Bowie. Bob Hope. Winston Churchill set up his field headquarters here in World War II, and still today they come.
I think meeting a Beatle here was my dad and I believe Mr. Keith Radford are big Beatles fans, and I met Paul McCartney here a few years back, and that was an absolute mind-boggling thing to happen. To play for a Beatle was crazy.
And it seems wherever we go in the world to cover stories, there is always an Eyewitness News connection.
It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I guess I have to admit, I'm a little partial to this particular piano player.
I have a really human connection actually to Buffalo, and in the name of Keith Radford. Keith Radford is my uncle. He's my dad's cousin, first cousin, and yeah, so I'm very proud to be related to Keith.
And so, if you ever get to London, go see John at the American Bar at the Savoy. Just tell him his uncle sent you.
Very cute.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
Drinks around Uncle Keith, right?
Well, I wouldn't go that far because I think drinks are a little expensive at that point.
How fancy is that?
Yeah,
huh?
I'm going to have to try and go sometime.
I know. Maybe you'll get a free room.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Let's see. Can you believe snow?